Okay, so I'm going to do a run through of the first game of the previous World Championship because we didn't have one this year. It seems so long ago that it happened. It was played between Roymi, who ended up victorious, um, and Petko Kostadinov. Ellie's playing the white checkers, Petko's playing the orange. Let's just jump in. This was a really interesting game.
Roymi from Israel, he 2 matches. Joining me here in the commentator
I'm going to turn down the commentary a little bit, but keep it running. We've got Mark and Wilcox, Snellings.
And certainly in this particular moment. Yeah. We're already
I got my arrows ready.
Breaking down the players too much from the start. Good 4-2 opening from Ellie.
So 4-2-5-4 is standard. I've watched this a few times, so I know there's a little bit of a pause here.
In the chat if you are
So
happy with
let's
the audio,
just
try to
scoot along. Okay, let's go back. We've gone too far. Okay.
So let's get going.
Third roll, Ellie rolls a 5-3. He's going to hit on the 5 point. That's clear. Nothing
I
else.
saw Ellie play a little bit. He plays pretty quickly. So.
Double three's a good shot, even though it doesn't hit. Makes the 5 point, comes down with the last one. Not much to say about that.
The streets of Israel, and he's bringing that here to the highest level of backgammon. So we're probably going to see him play really fast.
And then this 6-4, I'm just going to pause it. Oh, let's go back. So 6-4, admittedly, my instinct was to play this, not that that counts so much, and hit on the 3 point, because I just wanted to improve. So what's to be noted in this play? Well, the correct play, the analysis will come up in a second, is to just come out and just go for minimum shot safety this block and concede that you can't afford to try and improve the position and leave the block on the 5 point by hitting on the 3 point. It's just too much when your opponent's got the 5 point and the best 2 point board. So Petko does make the best play. Sorry, Ellie does make the best play. Minimising the shots, coming out, hoping to get missed, obviously, hoping to make the 18 point anchor. This is one of the best numbers, double three is probably a little bit better. And now what I notice is that Petko could be thinking that he might have a cube depending on what Ellie rolls. And this has got to be quite close to a cube. Let me just pause it here. But the thing that's probably holding it off is the fact that Ellie's got the 4 point. And not only that, Petko's checkers are a little bit stiff, a little bit poorly distributed, having 3 checkers on the 6 and not much else in the way of spares. So Petko doesn't give it much thought really. 3-2 would have been a good roll, making the 4 point. Turn them up a little bit. 6-4 is going to make the bar, so that improves the position even further. And now Petko's got such a strong Position really. He's what's he got? Basically, he's got a 4 prime, and he's got 3 checkers behind the 4 prime. Here's the 4 prime. And here's 3 checkers behind, no anchor. This has got to be like very strong. Got to be close to a cube depending on what Ellie rolls. So how can Ellie stop himself from getting cubes? That's really going to be the goal here. Rolls a 6-5. Okay, so power away, Will says. He hits twice. Let's scoot it back a little bit. So 6-5 in this position. The only thing you can do, if you look at it, is hit twice. What's the alternative? You know, what, coming out all the way? Well, then that just lets orange link up with a 6, or hit you on the on your 11 point with a 4. what else is there? Well, you could hit once, I suppose, but then if you're going to hit once, then the only reasonable alternative 5 is to come down to the 8 point. Why not, first of all, minimise shots? And why not redistribute your checkers in a better way? So he chooses to hit twice. And now this has also got to be close to a cube. So, but the fact that Petko's got 2 checkers on the bar is obviously going to make him think twice about cubing. So it's close, but it's not quite there. Petko rolls another good number. The fact he doesn't come in with the 4 is not that important. The hit is crucial. And now Ellie's got 4 men back. So he rolls a 4-1. There's no other play really. Let's take it back. A 4-1 here. There's no other play. You're just going to make the anchor. You're delighted to have the anchor. It protects against being wiped out. It protects against maybe being doubled. It's also on the highest point that you can have in your opponent's inner board. So that's got to be a good thing. I mean, the alternative is just playing 8-7 with the 1, which doesn't really do that much. So now he's got to, again, this is going to be close to a cube, having 4 men back, but it's not a cube. I'm not saying it is a cube, but it's going to be close. Another hit makes it 5 men back. And double 2. Okay, so this is interesting. Like, let's just can't quite. Oops. No, that's too much. That's too far. So here we go, double 2. This is almost already a kind of a turning point or a crunch point. So really, as far as I see it, we kind of want to come to the edge of the prime here, or we're going to get blocked in. And you can do that with this double 2. You could play 1 in, and then you could play the 2 up, and then you could do something else with the 2. But the alternative is a totally different game plan. The alternative is obviously making a double anchor. I don't want to necessarily call it a backgame at this stage, but it's a double anchor which gives a lot of protection. So you're choosing between 2 game plans. One is like hoping to come out and saying that, oh, I can still come out here, I can still make a run for it, I'm not completely lost and dead. And the other one is sort of conceding that, okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to have a decent enough game trying to scoop my checkers off the 21. I'm just going to give up on that game and basically go for getting more and more men back. So this is the point at which I think White says, I'm going to go for a back game. And hitting isn't like, because you're trying to win going forward, it's more a case of, well, you don't really have any alternatives with the 3-2s. There is an advantage to being hit, which is that you can make the bar, but, you know, it's not crucial to make the bar. I could stop here and just like have a look at the alternative plays and how the 4-ply rates them. So bar 23, 24, 22 is not coming up to the 21 point. In fact, it's just scooting this checker up here, which is involved in the second and the third best plays, 24-22, and then just playing 13-9. So we see that actually this shows that the fact that you hit isn't really that important either way. The crucial thing is to keep the 23 point. That's the computer is saying that's the strength in this position. That's how you have to play this game. Hold the 23. So this is after the double two, and it's another 4-3, which is sending another man back. So I suppose now White is committed to the back game, or if Ellie was the computer, and the computer would know that right now we're playing the back game, then having another man sent back isn't that bad. However, from a human point of view, it gets difficult to play, let's say from a personal human point of view, it sometimes becomes difficult to rely and only play with the checkers that are not in your opponent's inner board. There's often a temptation, for me at least, to try and get these out. And what we're really saying here is that we're not going to touch these checkers at all. We're going to just let our position crunch if necessary. But we're going to hope it doesn't crunch. We're going to play for it not to crunch. And if it does crunch, then maybe we'll be cubed, maybe we'll be cubed out, we don't know. But for the moment, the strategy is just to play with these checkers. And so from that point of view, having another one of these hit makes it more difficult for us to play with these checkers, since we don't have as many of those checkers in play. They're going to be all back. So that's why, correspondingly, Petko spends no time in hitting that checker. Okay. And now 3-2 here. Now we've seen the computer analysis. Now we know that making 23 is right. Then logically, we're going to make a third anchor because, well, why? If 2 anchors are better than 1, then 3 anchors have got to be better than 2. 3 anchors might even be better than even more superior than 2 is to 1. And just from a very basic point of view, making anchors just stops your opponent putting checkers on those points, which is a big impediment to his position when he bears in. And also it fills in the gap. So for you, so now you've made the 23 and the 21, then logically the next point you want to make is the 22. Therefore, any alternative play, which is, let's say, coming in on the 23 with the 2 and then playing up, is not going to be as good, because it doesn't make another anchor. It doesn't improve your defensive position. Now, the other thing about coming in on the 23 with this checker is that it's more difficult to get out. You would need an exact 5-2 or 1-6, and you're priming yourself even more by doing that. So even if you didn't see that the 22 was good in itself, there really is no other play. If you're looking by elimination, there's no other play, and so you've got to make a 22.
Two ways to play this. You can get the spear to the high point or create the third anchor. I think I would go with this play.
Yes, of course. You can't give up.
Petko rolls a 3-1, so Petko doesn't really have much to do apart from just try and bring his checkers round and hope he doesn't roll big. He's not really got much choice. Ellie, on the other hand, is just going to slot in front of
I think you just gotta
orange.
here, right?
I would just go to the 3 point and keep the mid point.
So let's try and look at this to try and be consistent with White's game plan. So now, having made the three anchors, what you want to do is you want Orange to be advanced and bearing in against you, and you want Orange to have all his checkers round now, much sooner than later, and bearing in against you and hopefully leaving shots. Now, you can't move Orange's checkers, obviously, but what can you do as White to try and facilitate, to try and put Orange's checkers in a position where he's coming in more quickly, so that when he does come in, you have still got some sort of board and position that you can contain him from when he does leave those shots. And the best way to do that is to put your checkers in positions where he might have to hit them. Now, if he hits your checkers, then you are likely to improve your timing. It's not guaranteed. So what will happen if you play 13-9 and 6-5? You are hoping, for example, and I don't know if this double four is the correct play. Let's say Orange rolls double four. He will have to hit you. Now, what you avoid every time you get hit, you avoid having to move massive amounts of freight, massive amounts of pips with a double five and a double six. Now, that's not to say that playing this play here and being hit means that you necessarily improve your timing relative to Orange's. It just gives you slight extra chances. Now, it's still likely, even if White does make this play, that Orange might roll small and White still has to crunch. White still might roll a double four, and not being on the bar, that's going to put his checkers far more advanced than he wants them to. So the point is that even though the game plan is to try and get on the bar, sometimes you don't get on the bar, and even if you do get hit, you get more checkers sent back, and it could still be likely that you have to crunch your position. If you get other checkers sent back, then you're going to have to play with an even more limited number of checkers, and they're going to go into your board. They're going to get far too far into your inner board where you don't want them. And so White's position, even though we're doing a nice slotting play, is still very precarious. So, having said that, excuse me. So White has a 43.5% chance of winning the game. That's, of course, I think a cubeful equity. So that takes into account that the cube is in play. Right, so let's just carry on. So we see what the right play is. Does Ellie make it? He's going to play. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so maybe with 6 back, I was sort of overestimating the need to keep the midpoint. A lot of backhands you do need to keep it. But
and now Ellie rolls a double two. So, like, judging by what we said about the last play, right, what's the right play here? Well, we're not going to hit. We're not going to hit 1. We're not going to hit 2. If we hit, we are going to make it slightly easier for White to hold his game. So again, include those double fives and double sixes. Let's not hit. Let's hope for White to roll double six, double five, and double four. Big swings on double six, double five. 2-1 is an amazing roll for white. So, you know, Ellie's lucked out a little bit here. He's got a triple back game, but that doesn't mean he's like in heaven and he's going to come around and win the game. He's got to try and roll small. I mean, he's got to luck out. And now this is a really interesting play. This is interesting play number 1. He makes the 5 point. But, the best plays, first best play is 13, 11, 8, 7. So let's go back and see what that looks like. What the computer wants to do is play 13, 11 here, 1 checker here, and then break the 8 point and play 8 to 7 here. So why would the computer? Why would it want to do that? Well, it's consistent with the same strategy. We are hoping that orange has to hit us, and if he hits us, then there's the swing on the double 5 and the double 6. And on other numbers, we're slightly better off. We're slightly more likely to keep our timing. So if you've got your wits about you, you don't play 8 to 5. Certainly, what you want is to be hit with 6s. The question then becomes: if you make the right play and then orange rolls a 6, is he gonna have to come out? And my guess is that he would hit in coming out. But if there wasn't a checker there, then we wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be on the bar, and we'd be more likely to break as white. So that's a fascinating play, but one that's just consistent with the game plan. But I don't think many players would get that right.
It's a mistake here to hit, and Ellie saw that immediately. Actually, there was a better move, although
So double 5 is now forced for Petko. There's nothing he can do. It's a really bad roll. And now Ellie's got really lucky. First of all, 2-1, 3 pips, then double 5. Almost the maximum. So just to show that Ellie really had to get lucky to kick in the game. And then the 5-1, again consistent with this idea. Well, you know, he does this now. He does willingly slot the 7 point. This is easier to see because there's no real other way of playing purely and keeping your checkers in play. But this is what he wanted to do with the 2-1. He wanted to put a checker there to be hit. And now, when Petko rolls a 6, he's going to have to hit white. So playing to the 7 point, there's the right play. There's the 6. Obviously, he's going to come out. And I suppose he's going to come out all the way. There's no reason to stay there or break any of the points. Petko needs... Let me just pause it a second. Petko needs to keep these checkers here. He needs to keep the prime at the moment. Well, we'll see. We'll see later why. I'll talk about it later. But he can't break it anyway because he'd have to leave a shot. But and double 2 comes to the edge of the prime, which is exactly what he wants. He wants to be able to... Yeah, so as Mark says, he's got this... Elliot now, he's got lucky again. He's got this checker, that if he rolls a 6, then it's going to come straight out, and he preserves the triple back game, which is what he wants. He wants to keep the anchors for as long as possible. Okay, now... Here's an interesting 4-2 for Petko. Since Petko rolled the double 5, he's running out of time. And he's certainly running out of time relative to Ellie. So when I say he's running out of time, that he's starting to get to the point where he needs to break these anchors and bear them in, to dismantle them. Because he only wins the game when he brings these checkers in. So when you look at it that way and you see that, oh my God, he's going to have to break these anchors against and bear in when Ellie's got 3 of his points. you can see that Petko's not going to be too happy. It's not going to be doing very well. Now, having said that, this is what I wanted to come back to. Could we break the 9 point here? Could we start breaking the anchors now? Well, what would it gain? Well, it would gain that you would start breaking the points that you need to. But if you do that, then you make it much easier for Petko to keep his anchors, because then if you break the 9 point, then anything with a 5 is going to come out, and that's crucial for Eli to maintain his timing. So with Petko's 4-2, you know, he's just about okay. He might actually be okay if Eli doesn't roll a 6 and starts to bust his position. Right, so coming down to the play itself, we need to notice that, let's assume that, you know, that Eli's not going to roll something that's going to bust his position. What's the best way of not leaving shots the next go? Now, 5s are, once this checker is here, in there, 5s are going to be forced from the 6 point. None of these points allow 5s to be played. Now, if you notice that 5s are going to be forced from there, then you need, your best bet is to maintain a 5 for this go, so that you don't have to break from the 6 point with a 5. And the way you can do that is by keeping this checker out on the 13 point, and then if you do that, then you have to play 5-1 with the 4. Now, not only do lots of 5s play, but 6-4 plays as well. It wouldn't play the other way. But other numbers still don't play. So, but it gains on 5s and 6-4, and maybe some other numbers. Petko thinks about this. I wonder whether he does actually think about doing this. But this is a critical, a critical play. Actually, I have to say the computer doesn't think it's such a big mistake. It's surprising. So 3-1 again. Notice because he didn't roll a 6, but he rolled small. I mean, he's been rolling the best numbers. Like, he rolled 2-1, 5-1, double 2, came to the edge, 3-1. He's maintained his position, and Petko has just been sucked into this horrible, like, having a position where he's going to be forced to bear in and leave shots. And lo and behold, he rolls a 5. So the 5. Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
The 5 is for.
Eli is actually an underdog here.
Let me get this back. Come on. So let me just. 5-2. The 5 is actually forced from here, but what Petko does is he just plays it all in one go. So he has to play it. So he plays the 2 from the 8 point, and so therefore leaving. He plays 8-1, leaving a shot on the 8 point. So immediately, it just seems like, wow, he's just left a shot. He wouldn't have left a shot the other way if he'd have played the 4-2, 15-13, 5-1 previous go. So now we've got 6s, 5s, and 4s to hit. And that's his perfect number. Look, so what we're going to do, we're going to hit and make the 3 point. Aren't we? No, we're not. This is, I think, the play of the game. It's very interesting, very instructive. But what's going on is that we basically don't want to hit now. Because if we don't hit, then this is a situation where Orange's position is likely to deteriorate, to get even worse. I'm going to go through a couple of numbers, but let's say we don't hit. Like, we can come out. First of all, we can come out. That's fabulous. If we couldn't come out, we might have to hit. And then we make this, right? Now, let's say orange rolls another 5. We know now the 5s are coming from here. Unless he rolls a 5-1, well, even if he rolls a 5-1, it's not that good for him. But let's say he rolls a 5-4. 5. And then the 4, you can't get this man safe. So what's that? You're leaving 2 blots. The 4 is probably going to come from the 9 point to the 5 point. Excuse the arrows, I know it gets a bit messy. And that also goes for 5-6. So when you look at the 5 has to be played from here, and then when you look at the numbers that get this safe, well, 6 doesn't get this safe, so you're going to have 2 blots immediately. The 6 doesn't. Oh no, hold on. Where does the 6 play from? Uh-oh. He's triple blotting with 5-6. And actually, the position after a 5-6 is probably too good to double for Ellie. There are other rolls. Should we try some other rolls? What if Wright rolls a... Okay, so 4-3 is fine. What about 6? So anything with a 6 is going to come from there. So 6... anything that doesn't safety that man. We've done 6-5. Let's try 6-4. So 6-4, that's the 6. The 4 is going to come from there. That's a double shot. Surely Petko won't be able to take that. And so 6s and 5s are leaving shots. We've just slowly cottoned onto. So if that's the case, and he's going to leave more shots and the position's going to get even worse, then why would we hit now? Well, we'd hit now if we thought that there was a reasonable chance of not getting a shot. But let's say the position doesn't get worse, we're still likely to get a shot next go. We're not. It's going to be at least as good for us as it is here, and it's not going to be worse. Now, there's other thing I want to say about the hit here. You really, if possible, don't want to hit from the back anchor, because when you hit from a back anchor, you leave the remaining checker vulnerable, and your opponent can just eliminate you as the goalkeeper. So this is like the last bastion, the last defence. And once you leave it, there's always some numbers, admittedly not that many, that can actually, for Orange, that can actually make that point. And once that point's eliminated, you lose so many of your defensive chances. So, ideally, if you could choose a number to hit with, you choose a 4. So that you can keep all the anchors. But next best is a 5. So, Ellie shouldn't hit. What does he do? Uh-oh, well, it's going to hit, right?
Ellie has 63%.
The right play is to hit.
Now he's even better. Now he's up to 70%.
No.
Huge roll from Ellie.
The right play is 21-15, 6-3. Hitting is an enormous blunder, 0.379.
This is a well-timed.
And what an excellent play by Ellie. A logical play. It's just getting so much worse for Petko. And Petko's probably thinking, well, he might not. Well, why is he not hitting? Or maybe he does.
Yeah, I mean, you have the run decision. It's like you roll it.
Okay, so we didn't clear double 4. This is considered double 4. Okay, so is that a good roll? He doesn't get into the leaving 2 shots, but he's still left a shot. But look, it's got loads worse. Because now, why has it got loads worse for Petko? Because now Petko doesn't have any possibility of containing these checkers when he gets hit. The 9 points gone, so 6s are going to be able to play from here. 5s are playing from here. 4s are playing from here. 4s, 5s, and 6s are playing from the 21. So the position has just got nasty. But it's a beautiful slow play of trips. It's not really even a slow play. It's just it's waiting for the equity to to a mass.
Let's see if he studied these triple backgammon crunch positions.
Oh yeah, we all spent overtime doing that.
So now what's going on? I mean, there's a triple shot. The only thing that doesn't miss, that doesn't hit, double 1, 2, 1, double 2. That's 4 shots. I think everything else hits. 3, 1,
You could also win a gammon. Petko still has 13% gammons here.
and 3, 2.
Sure.
Okay, 3, 1, 3, 2. Fine. So what's that? Is that 27?
We have Thomas Timland and Michael Karkus saying that the non-hit...
So Petko's going to think about this for a while. Let's just scoot along. And he takes. And it's a very big pass, but I think on a higher level this is going to get even bigger. Let's change the colour of the arrows. Just because the computer tends to underestimate the winning chances of the doubler, and maybe even the gammons. But Petko can't prevent himself. So now, of course, you're going to hit, right? You're going to hit now. It's not going to get any better for you. Well, are you looking at the panel here? Look at this. On 4-ply at least, hitting, this is hitting 2317. 2317. Oh, now my arrows are gonna... The best play is 15-8. This is the best play. Let's go back to what it looks like before. We're going to have some arrow trouble. This is what it looks like after the play. Come on, arrows. And you just want to play 15-8. You just want to keep those triple anchors. Same reason as before. Don't hit from the 23. Maybe you won't have to hit from the 23. Maybe his position will get worse. Okay, I've lost my arrows, so there's no more arrow action.
This game might go on for some time, and all the decision is going to fall on
And
the
so
other's shoulders.
it's not a big mistake to hit here, but it's still better to keep the 23. And so what's going to happen from here is that Petko's either going to be able to come out and or roll something very lucky to be able to eliminate this man from the 23, or Ellie's going to contain him and he's going to eke some more checkers loose, and he's going to, I hope, maybe be able to close 2 or 3 men out and win a gammon. So okay, my arrows are down. So Petko just rolled a double 2. He came in and managed to clear the 7 points. And so now it's just a matter of for Ellie of trying to contain the orange checker, and the way he's going to do this is by covering the outfield, of course. And just to note that the best way, so he's got 6-5 to play, and we can see on the panel, the best way of doing this is keeping for one thing, keeping the man on the 23 back as far as possible, keeping him there, and just trying to sort of cover all these points in some way so that when orange comes out, obviously we've got maximum number of shots to hit him and put him back in. And then of course there's the possibility of hitting a second man. So the back game has borne fruit. it was lucky. Ellie rolled small. He hit almost when he should have done.
Just be patient.
The game was too far gone for Petko to have taken.
The first shot in the outfield, it's just an ongoing sequence.
Yeah,
You really don't want to get.
Yeah, you get hit now with 6-5. Oh, sorry, 6-4, double 5.
5-2 is a pretty good roll, comes out, but it's unlikely to be missed. That's the problem. It's triple shots on 6s, 5s, and 3s. And so this is just a matter of Petko hopefully not rolling like a horror, like a double 2 would be disgusting. 2-4 just about plays. And Ellie's just trying to contain. And so double 5, you can make the bar here, but the best thing is to stop stop Petko from rolling a 6, and importantly double 6s, which would, although double 6 would leave a shot, it would be, you'd get a checker off. He wouldn't be able to, Ellie wouldn't be able to win a gammon. So Petko would just be like trying not to lose a gammon. Really not very much chance of him winning the game. Maybe another 2-4 he'd be happy with.
You want that connected outfield control. You don't want to put your outfield, your checkers in the outfield too forward. Yeah.
Double 2's just making the bar, and it's pretty much 1 now. Desperate for a 2, of course. To just come closer, try and make the 2 point, so that bring that man closer makes it more likely for you to make the 2 point with that man.
For the stream match, since this is the World Championship final, they're playing for 74,000 euros to the winner and 33,000 euros.
So with the 6-2, you could stay back.
Change the arena into a private room.
But then you make things like double 2 very good. So again, double 2 is just a disaster. You almost want to keep the man, the 2 point open so that he does roll it.
As good as it's been all week,
and then he closes the balls.
And
then, you know, there's not much to see. I'm going to fast forward it. And it's just a question of whether Petko leaves another shot. 1-4. Petko's still on the bar. 1-3. Let's go back. Let's go back because this is the point at which I think. So he does eventually leave another shot. There's no way he can play this safely. He has to play 5-3. He could play 6-4, but that would be worse. And Ellie does eventually pick the second man up, and then he sort of closes Petko out, and that's pretty much it. And we're with no checkers on the 4-3 and 2. It makes it more likely for Petko to get gammoned because he doesn't take checkers off. With some combinations when he's bearing the last man in, and we see that's pretty much it. He does save the gammon. So a fascinating first game of the World Championship. I will try and carry on with maybe some of the games, not all of them. Just check out, see which ones are interesting. But a very, very well played game by Ellie. Got a little bit fortunate, bangs against the camera there. But played it well, held off from hitting with the 6-3, yeah, backgammon can be a fascinating game where you have to think. Anyway, thank you for watching.